Next, let's look at some pencil, pens, and markers. So first, most of you are familiar with a standard HB or a hard pencil. Those are the typical pencils that you used throughout your schooling. You can also go to the store and purchase a more professional one. So the difference between a hard and a soft pencil is just the way the marks are left on the pages. So in this class, we like a little more of a hard pencil for some of those lines. And what I want you to do is to purchase one of those pencils and a sharpener. So no technical pencils in this class, just a standard pencil that we can then sharpen. Next, I just want to introduce you to my two favorite pens. This is the Sharpie pen. It's an ultra fine point, and this is Paper Mate Flare Medium. Just want to show you some of those marks. So we'll work at first with a pencil. Most students typically are comfortable working with a pencil. We really don't want to use the eraser. As a matter of fact, I try to discourage using an eraser at all in my class. If you do want an eraser, go ahead and get one of these white erasers that don't leave marks on your page. So back to my two favorite pens, the Sharpie pen Ultra Fine and Paper Mate Flare Medium. So these provide two different line weights, and I always have these in my purse. I always have these at my desk. I feel like these are almost an extension of myself. So you'll see that this is a little finer. So two different line weights, my favorites. Those you can get at any grocery store, Walgreens, CVS, etc., Office Max. You don't have to buy them in a big pack. You can buy them individually. Some of you might already have micro or micron pens from your drafting class, and you can use these as well. Note that I believe that I asked you to get a variety of different line weights. Typically you want an 0.5 and a 1. I'll just quickly look at these. I don't believe I have an 0.5. I have an 0.5, but I don't have a 1. So let's just take a look at those. So this should be finer. This is a micron pen that's actually a brush. So when you want to produce more organic marks, you'll want to go with the brush. Here's another 5. Another brush. And then just a black standard close to the number 1. So, the point is that you want to have, 2 to 3 different line weights of pens. Next, we'll take a look at markers. So I asked you to order or look into getting a variety of grayscale markers. So these are by Prismacolor. This is cool gray and it's 20%, so that's its value. Here is cool gray 10%, a 30, 50, 60, 80, 90, and black. So on the value scale, this is the lightest in value to the darkest. So we'll take a look at those. Now, you notice that I've placed these on the canvas in a certain order, so going from light to dark, and it goes 10, 20, 30, 50, 60, 80, 90. You'll also notice that there are two tips on the marker. So there's two tips on the marker. One side of the marker has a chiseled edge, and then one side of the marker will have a smaller point. So the chiseled edge is to do large areas, and then the smaller point to do details. So different types of marks on the page. I always put the number because I don't see very well. I put the number at this broad band. So this broad band is indicating the chisel side of the marker, and this thinner band is indicating the thinner side of the marker. I've spent so much time going back and forth opening up caps that I like to have mine organized, especially when I'm presenting to a client. You want to look a little more professional and prepared. So let's take a look at those. So chisel, 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 and all of a sudden this one right here has a swirl. That's because Prisma markers are available in both a chiseled edge and a brush edge. And so we'll take a look to see what both of those look like. For students who like a more fluid and loose look, they tend to like this brush tip. And students like myself who want to go for more of an architectural illustration like the chiseled edge. So beginning with 10, chisel point, 20, chisel point, 30, 50, 60, 'So one thing I want to show you here is these are all cool gray. So Prismacolor has different types of gray. They have warm gray, cool gray, French gray. I don't really care what gray you choose because sometimes cool grays are out of stock, but I do want you to pull from the same series. All right, so these are all cool gray. So you can see they all have this nice blue, cool undertone. French gray goes a little more purple, warm gray goes a little more brown. So here I'm pulling Prismacolor. It's still a cool gray, so it'll be in this same family. It just has a different tip. So this is an 80% brush tip. And so it's more painterly-like, right? It's more painterly-like. So I do like these tips for things like trees and things like that. But for illustrating interiors, I tend to use the chiseled edge. Again, it's up to you and it's per student. And then we have 90, chisel point, and then we have black. When we begin working with the markers, we'll start talking about kind of marker etiquette. And the first marker etiquette is, especially when you're using a straight edge or a hard edge, is not to push the marker too close to the edge of the pen because it actually breaks and damages your tip. So what you want to do is just use it as a guide. So I'm just using it as a guide rather than pushing into the edge, and we'll practice that throughout the semester. There are different parts of a marker, especially these chiseled edges. There's the tip, the nose, and the broad side. So I've been using the broad side to show you some strokes, but also know there's the tip. There's using the nose, and then there's using the broad chisel. So you can get different marks just from the chisel side of the marker. So there's a couple other brands out there that you'll want to maybe look into. The most expensive brand is by Copic. Copic markers. The great thing about these, professional illustrators tend to gravitate towards the Copic markers. It's because they're sustainable in that if you use markers a lot, you can refill them. So Copic markers are a little more expensive. You can see this is a warmer gray, so instead of cool gray, this is tonal gray. They're great, I love them. They're just typically out of my price range. But you can find these at any art store. You can buy a set of these as you can with the Prisma markers. So far I've introduced you to Prismacolor markers and Copic markers. Then there's these little guys. They're called Tombow. I get them at the art store. And they also have two sides, a brush side and a smaller tip side. I do like these as well. They're affordable. I typically purchase these for unusual colors that I don't use all the time, like yellows and reds, and if I want to have like a lot of greens for foliage and trees. I really like them. But again, they have that brush tip edge, which again is beautiful for organic things, but not as good to like marker in a wall. So those are by Tombow, and you can buy a series of grays with those. So here's a warmer gray, and then another in the series. I purchased this gray years ago. This is by a company, I don't know if I'm gonna pronounce it right, Faber-Castell. They're at the art store. I don't know why I just picked up this gray marker, and I love it, and it seems like it's lasted forever. They're a little more expensive than our Prismacolor markers, but I've been very happy with these as well. So now the warning marker. So normally we have this class in person, and I actually ban these from our classroom. At one time, these were my favorite markers. I love the way they look on the page. They come with these blender tools, so you can blend the markers, you can blend it. It just was so saturated. So here's all the good things about these markers. Unfortunately, this is Chart Pack Ad marker. I won't even open these up to demonstrate to you because you won't be able to smell them anyways. But they are extremely toxic. So if you did purchase your series from Chart Pack and you did get your ad markers, again, beautiful marks on the page, please use these in a ventilated area. If you're pregnant, if you have any respiratory problems, you should probably return them. So I am like a hawk or a hound or something that when a student opens these up in the classroom, I I can right away just smell it and say, who opened up a chart marker, a chart pack marker? And the student will say, I'm sorry, Miss Corey, it was me. So just a caution that, you know, I think these are just not good for our health. A few more things that you may want to purchase here. So unlike working with pastels or pencil or charcoal that you can erase, right? You can erase your marks. When we start working with pens and markers that scan very well, you know, you can't add a highlight, you can't, you know, erase very well. So here are some little tricks of the trade. You can use Prismacolor, which is a colored pencil, to add some highlight. So let's just say you wanted something to look shiny. So that's one way. So that's a Prismacolor white pencil. Or this is a trick from one of my favorite illustrators. Instead of the Prismacolor pencil, she uses these pastel pencils. So here it is in white and in yellow. So she uses this kind of creamy color to add sunshine to her drawings, and the white to add highlight. And then it can blend in. So let's say you want something to look like stainless steel. You can add some of that to your drawing. If I want to add some sunshine around my tree, I could add some sunshine. So here are two more painterly pens to add white to the page. One is a jelly roll, and one is just the simple, where you can buy anywhere, the liquid paper correctional pen. I don't have a lot of success with these, and I mean, I like the idea of putting fresh, white, sharp marks on your page, but they dry out really quickly and I haven't had a lot of success with them. If you want to use white, I actually suggest just getting white wash paint and a paintbrush. But I'll just show you some of those.